Welcome everybody to another edition of Push to Talk. I am here with a bunch of people. They don't realize that they're actually they've stopped speaking randomly. They should be speaking right now. I don't know why they're not speaking right now. I am mute and deafened in Discord, but they should be just saying random shit. We have Caleb Ariana here. We have Dirk Statil here. We have the effervescent Mifune here, and we also have Sothrasil here. And I shall just unmute myself, and hopefully they are actually speaking. I don't know whether they are actually speaking or not.
Well, we were just commenting on the fact that you were using us as window dressing, and you were just going to monologue the show.
That would have been quite funny. It's like, they're literally here for window decoration, that kind of thing.
I mean, Caleb does make such good window dressing.
Vas, I imagine Arendis is probably going to be here. I imagine Arendis is probably going to be here, like, at some point.
Well, I mean, we've invoked Arendis at this point. Yes. You know, yeah. So
I forgot the link in Fleet. I forgot the link in the ping. God damn it, I'm bad.
Just say quantum again 3 times.
I think people know where.
No, Soth. You don't say quantum cores to someone horrendous, although he does consider them to be stupid, as far as I understand. You say tiericide.
That just makes him sad. You say quantum cores because that gets him on that soapbox.
It makes me feel horrible.
He's been battling that 1500 post thread for, I don't know, 3 days now. It's glorious.
Arendis just finds a thread that he likes the look of every now and again, and just goes on a
rampage?
On a spree. Yeah, a
random
rampage. Literally.
I'm gonna hotfix all of this stuff like live, so it looks really professional. Because I'm all for that. I'm all for professionalism.
Towards the end of the stream, it's gonna look all professional.
Oh yeah. By the end of the stream, it's gonna look like fucking. Like really, really cool, but like right now, it literally will look like shit.
It's just getting
but don't
worse.
Worry, it's fine. It's fine.
Was that show notes Google Doc up there?
No, that wasn't a show notes Google. Show notes for what? What is show notes?
Come on, you do know that the quality of this stream is still higher than any of the competitors out there. Just so you know, so you're still top dog.
I don't know about that.
Good news is the Imperium is winning the war.
What
war?
War?
I mean, when tests aren't going to come into,
I'm
anywhere.
I'm sorry, Dirk. I didn't hear the quotation marks when you said war.
Oh, sorry. Yes. The Imperium is still winning the war.
Quote unquote.
Did you hear them there?
Yes,
the air quotes.
Thank you.
I mean, I don't know about anyone else, but I heard on a grapevine that in actual fact, that Vili plainly admitted, right? Like, you know, like I think it was live on like TIS or something like that. But he plainly admitted about the fact that, like, essentially they can't get it done, so they're gonna have to wait for CCP to fucking come to their rescue.
I mean, is this the same TIS that whose main broadcaster thinks that the leader of TNT is Wimbler?
I thought his name was Wimbler.
Good old Wimbler.
Oh, I'm going to call him that now.
That's amazing.
I think we should
that.
just go. Who's got the access to the INN Discord? Just go and change his name.
He's a mod. I don't think any of us have the rights to do that.
Could ask Marana.
Yeah,
There we
ask
go.
Marana to do it.
Perfect.
Wimbler.
That would be hilarious.
No, it can't be Winbler.
Oh, Jesus.
It must be an M. It can't be an N because the whole init to win it thing is reserved to init. I'm sorry.
Yes, that is true. We reserve that.
I mean, the best troll would be getting somebody to change his name on the Goonfleet services.
Yeah.
I'm starting to get a little bit
That
scared.
would actually be really funny.
Guys, you might not have checked, but he is actually green. So if someone pings him in Elysium, there's actually a chance that he might come in here and rage at us.
I mean,
I actually would love that.
That'd be great.
It's in a strange psychopathic way. I'd love that.
Hey, I'm not afraid of Whippler raging at me. I'm afraid of Whippler doomsdaying my ass.
Never not shoot blues.
At this point, I think he might have enough Titans to actually kill mine.
Yeah, probably. I think he's on like Titan number 7 or Titan number 8 now.
What? Does that mean that the goons are poor is a lie?
Well, he's not a goon.
No, because all our Titans are still trapped in 93 PI.
Yes.
He just
That
has
is true.
them.
We're all stuck in the NPC station of Ninjara. Of whatchamacallit. I'm sorry. I'm tired. My joke's terrible.
You don't have to worry. It's fine. You will be
Okay.
You'll be perfectly at home in here.
The punchline was that we're all stuck in an NPC station, but it didn't read right.
No, Vaz, he said Ninjara.
Yes, I say Ninjara. I pronounce things weird in this game. I get used to it.
Do you have a katana in your house,
Could
Mifune?
you pronounce,
I do not.
Could you pronounce Valyria for me?
Valyria?
Oh, good God.
pretty
Oh,
good.
that's right.
What? That's what I...
See,
ain't bad.
that was unfair because you said it first and he just imitated it. You have to type it. So you have to type these things somewhere and then ask him to say what you've just typed.
And
Exactly.
of course, I capitalized the I's.
Exactly. Now you're getting it, Soth.
Okay, who is it that brought the wrong type of goat? Because apparently our summoning spell of Horrendous is not working.
The wrong type of goat? Did we not bring a virgin goat?
You brought a fucking sheep again.
Yeah, but the question is, did you do something to the sheep to make it a non-virgin sheep?
Hey, I'm not Welsh, all right?
I was about to say, I'm not Welsh. Who's the
where's
secret
the
Welshman?
in the room?
There's a secret Welshman somewhere here.
I mean, maybe we can just get Soth to go get one of those horses from that place that he keeps talking about. We'll try it with that instead.
But Doug, I think
We
you
have
should
cows
really...
too.
Doug, I think you should recap what the whole quantum cores thing is and why we are trying to summon a random.
Well, I think the first question that we have to ask, if we're going to recap
No,
the quantum cores thing...
No. Because I need
this
to.
is a serious question, McLeod.
I know it's a serious
About the
question, but
quantum
like
cores
there was some. Well, yeah.
Why has McLeod spent the past 5 minutes sizing and resizing the image that just says quantum cores? I think that's the key question about this.
Basically, I'm trying to find real estate to basically put Mifune in, and like he's basically going to be going like in sort of like the space above the INN logo kind of thing. So I was moving some other stuff around so it didn't look fucking tiny, so you could still read a little bit of it. But I actually need to turn it off. I actually need to turn it off because I have to address something that's concerned me, and it's probably one of the most pressing issues of the week, and it's not to do with Eve. Strangely enough,
serious.
I know it's crazy, right?
Don't do the echoes thing again. We're gonna lose all our viewers.
It's not echoes. It's not echoes.
He said
It's
he
the
said
mo-
it has nothing to do with Eve. Eve echoes still has Eve in its name. So
Yes, Eve still has Eve echoes in the name. Right.
This is where McLeod suddenly turns this into some sort of like Alcoholics Anonymous meeting or something, and we all have to be very nice to him. And McLeod, if that's where you're going with this, no.
No, it's not that. It's not that at all. So the issue is that Nvidia released a bunch of news. Okay. And the problem is they did do that. And did you guys hear about this?
Yes, I'm on. I know exactly where you're going with this, and
Yeah. So they released they released information about their 3000 series graphics cards, and it basically dumpsters everything, every 2000 series graphics card, and it basically makes fun of every single person who spent money on 2000 series graphics cards.
yes. So basically, I just recently purchased. I'm not gonna lie. Last month, I purchased a 2070.
You might want to look at getting your money back.
So, yes, which is exact. I have a support ticket open with Nvidia right now, actually. Because here's the thing: the 2070 Super, which is the one I got, right, is I paid $527 on Newegg. That's after tax, after shipping, after all that good shit, right? And then they come out with this 3070 that is like 6 times as more powerful as my freaking card,
according to Nvidia,
and the same price. So if this thing comes out, what I do is I have an open support ticket with them, and basically what I told them is I basically said, listen, when this thing comes out, if what you said is true, I want my money back and I want a 3070.
Well, to do with that, and let me just transition really quickly here.
This is going to be so professional.
Boom. So there was a thing that Ace linked to me, and I thought it was kind of very interesting as well. And it was a link to a news article that says Nvidia is offering RTX 2000 series owners trade-ins.
Ooh, 50% trade-in.
Yeah, exactly. Check that out. Can you see that? For a limited time, Nvidia will be offering a 50% trade-in to RTX 2000 series owners towards the purchase of a RTX 3000 series owner. Enter your serial number, blah 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 blah. Right. So I was like, oh, cool. Let's take a look at this. Right. So,
is it going to rickroll you?
No. A link sent by Ace would never do
anything.
that.
It wouldn't do anything like that. Ace wouldn't do that to me. Would he?
Hey, Ace is a nice guy. Ace would never do that.
Click it. There we go. You just got rigged.
You're welcome, guys.
I haven't seen one of these in ages.
Oh, Jesus.
I can't remember when someone last actually did a rickroll. I was like, I thought this meme was dead.
That meme is never dead.
It's never gonna die.
It's never going to die, because if it does die, then it just means it's more powerful than it has ever been.
No. That meme literally can never die, because it's never going to give you up.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's also true.
It will never let you down.
The problem is that it doesn't work on me. I feel exactly the same as when I was listening to this when I was fucking young, right? I just go and crank it up. It's fucking great.
It's a good song. I'm not going to lie. It is a good song.
I prefer the safety dance, though. The safety dance is the preferable, better song, though.
There's much better songs from that era, but yeah. Again, you show that you have massive class and was born way too late.
I should have been born in 1982.
That's very specific.
Yes. There's a reason for that. 1982 was ironically the year that my parents' high school had this party for graduating students, and it's where my parents met. And that party, I've been told multiple times, was like an absolute old-fashioned 80s kegger party, and it just sounded so amazing. And I want to go there. Like I wanted to be a part of that. It sounded so fun.
Could we do that for the next London meet, McLeod? Could we arrange it so we make it an actual 80s party?
I think so.
That sounds dangerous.
That'd be pretty cool.
I mean,
who's bringing the X?
If I had to put shoulder pads on and like have like a old fashioned blue suit,
dude, this is Britain. We don't do shoulder pads.
So glam rock it is.
Well, yeah, basically. What is death may never die. That's
no, it's
that's
that which is dead, it shall never die or will never die.
I mean, there's super death.
Permadeath.
Megadeth.
Ooh.
No, super death.
I like the move there.
I mean, when death dies, super death comes to collect him.
Mifune,
Yes.
you are a member of Gunstorm Federation.
Yes.
Okay, good. I just want to double check that because I just Eve-hooed you and it's definitely not that. I'm doing your nameplate, by the way. Live on air. So, yeah.
Live on air with Photoshop open and your PC is not melted.
Right. No.
Yes,
Okay.
it's not melting.
Can I just address something, McLeod? If you're doing his nameplate,
Yes.
his nameplate cannot display. His nameplate cannot display Gunstorm Federation. It has to display Theta Thursdays.
Yes.
Has displayed. Okay, I can do that. That is definitely possible.
Yes,
Carry on.
He's not from an alliance. He's from a competing show. He's here because, I don't know, Caleb is too nice.
I'm here to steal your professionalism.
I mean,
we
you
have
came
so
to the
much
wrong
of
fucking
it.
show right now.
But it's not really a show. It's like the trash talk thing and open comms. It's more like some sort of evening kegger, right?
Mm-hmm.
And today we don't even have Eric to get us back on track.
Oh yeah, we don't.
We have a tracks.
There's no tracks.
We don't need tracks.
There's no. Yeah, we're going that we don't need tracks.
But we do need to talk about the cause because that has been the big thing this entire week.
Oh,
I wanted to postpone it as best as much as we could.
This is all it is. It's bait,
It's
Caleb.
just bait.
It's bait. Don't take the bait.
Just so much bait. It's all the bait.
It's been talked to death, man. It's an issing. Get over it.
Can I just say, it's bait. It literally is bait for any high-sec structure.
Yeah. It's bait in more than one way, and I do feel like a little bit like it might be CCP bait, because did you see the one that came just afterwards with the vague thing from the R&D group?
Oh yeah, they're gonna let people play Eve in browser windows now.
Well, actually, I don't really
shit because there was no
hilarious.
details, so everyone just went crazy.
There was zero details, and people are like, "Oh God, it's gonna be like people are gonna code inject like crazy, blah blah blah." And it's like, I mean, maybe, but like maybe not. Like, you know, there's obfuscated ways of being able to, like, you know, prevent that shit and just stop it. Like, you know, there's a reason why. I mean, there's both a reason why, like, Stadia was like a viable thing, and also a reason why Stadia failed like fucking terrible. And it wasn't down to the fact that, like, you know, it wasn't down to the tech. It was down to the fucking dumbass decisions that Google made about it.
No,
but it wasn't down to sort of like, you know, sort of code injection in the tech. It was down to the fact that, like, you know, they made promises that they couldn't keep, like, oh yeah, 60 FPS 4K, yeah, fuck off.
You mean the whole negative latency thing?
Wait,
yeah, the whole negative latency thing, and also the fucking was it the commercial that they made was just batshit crazy. Like, it was absolutely hilarious. Hilariously bad.
I just want to address something that McLeod said there in terms of Google and Stadia and why it failed. And That being, that they overpromised and underdelivered. And can I just say that I have never once known CCP to introduce a feature where they overpromised and undelivered.
I thought it was a motto.
It's never happened. No.
It's SOP over there in CCP waters.
Literally just blazoned on the wall above all of the developers.
But basically, it was funny to see how everyone just started commenting on the web browser thing without reading the actual details, because there were a few details in the post. It was not completely vague.
There weren't that many.
There weren't enough to make it not be weird, because it was just, I read that and I was like, are you trying to become RuneScape or something, EVE Online Edition, or what? Because that's what it felt like to me, and I hate it so much.
The idea is to have it at least be something that can introduce a player fast into the game without actually needing to download the client. So initially, I think the idea is to give the first 30 minutes or an hour of gameplay in the browser for completely new characters. And as such, that really makes sense, because this is one of those hurdles where people are just sitting there drumming their fingers going, when can I play? When can I play? When can I play? Oh, when this entire stupid download is over. And that's actually a big bottleneck for most games these days, right?
I will tell you right now, EVE Online is only 22.5 gigabytes. Okay, if you are a gamer that can't wait for the average internet speed right around 20 to 40 minutes download.
But here's the thing: we're not talking about an average internet speed. We're talking about internet speed of like Sothrasil's recent issues with his ISP. That's the kind of level of internet speed that we're talking about.
Okay, but like still,
it's only a 2-week wait.
That's roundabout. Does math in his head 0?
Yes, but like no, I'm pulling this from the chat. Literally, if downloading the EVE client is too much of a hassle for you, then EVE isn't the right game. Like they're addressing the issue of these download speeds, but like, how is that an issue to people who aren't patient? Because EVE is all about patience.
Because when you're talking about trial, that's really an important number, and it goes for all games. You want your player inside your game as fast as possible to not actually inconvenience them. This is just a marketing thing, and it's just to raise the number of tries, because one of the numbers that are kind of terrible for EVE Online for some reason is that people start downloading but actually never actually play the game more than 5 or 10 minutes.
I mean, but that's not gonna make or break the game based on like download. Like in the age where we have like games that are basically being released to the public that are over 100 gigs in size, like, and they make an absolute fortune in terms of sales and in terms of like, people playing it. Yeah, I'm kind of talking about Call of Duty.
Guys,
like,
those games have already been marketed the same year, right?
Yeah.
So that you already have a hooked audience. They are willing to wait. When we're talking about something like EVE that is not hyped at all, on the hype scale, I think we're at the bottom.
No, yeah, but here's the thing. Here's my take on that. If you want to appeal to new gamers, think of what got everybody that plays EVE now, what got you interested in the first place? The big fights, the player-run economy, the player-run factions, I should say. Just the fact that it's this huge, massive MMO that's played in real time with all player interaction. And that's how they marketed it for the past 10 years. And it worked, So why teach like a horse tricks that it doesn't need to learn? And that analogy is probably screwed up in a number of ways, but like, why, if that is working?
There's another way to look at that. If you're teaching horses tricks that it doesn't want to learn, are you potentially just beating on the dead horse?
Exactly. Well, that is true. It's true that like they may be tired of marketing that way, but that's what works. That's what got 40,000 people to play this game, was marketing like that. Things like This Is EVE, or the 6 minute the 6 minute intro that they had, or the scope, where the scope covered all the nullsec fights and stuff like that. All of that stuff is what got people hyped about the game. And they're not doing that anymore. They're just, here, let's make this game so easy to play for the new players, but still hard enough for old players that they still want to play our game. And like, one of the biggest arguments that I had on Theta Thursday this past week was that you have servers in the base game that are so unstable lately that they have to fix. And you're telling me that you're going to get this entire like full hour's worth of EVE Online working in a browser?
No.
Like,
it's already working.
It's already working.
Yeah,
they got it to work.
But the point is that this is not something that requires many dev hours, and it definitely doesn't take away from the dev hours that is supposed to fix the actual code. It's completely different teams.
I don't think CCP is coding this themselves.
No,
It's just being outsourced. It's nothing.
Yeah, like I don't think it even requires many people to code it in any way, shape, or form. Like, I mean,
It's an easy thing that will make a handful of players happy, that is marketable, and that's it. It's nothing really 99.9% of players will give a single fuck about.
let me give you a little bit of an example of this whole argument with taking away dev hours, right? I'm mostly into doing market stuff and reading the macroeconomics of EVE Online. And we have this thing called the monthly economic report.
Oh dear, here we go.
No. That's a script. That's a script that was created by CCP Quant, right? When he was
It's a
still
bad
there.
script.
Yeah, the script had a few, or has still got a few holes, right?
The script has apparently developed more holes since Quant left.
Yes, because someone that might not necessarily know exactly how it works or what it's doing has been fiddling with it. And this is very similar to when someone goes in there and fiddles with the actual market in-game. So when I would scream, oh, it's taking away, or if someone screamed, it's going to take away dev hours. Well, it's really not, because there's very few people that even have the skill set to start picking apart these things. And it's the same when we're talking about things that are fundamentally about the things like lag and server node drops and things like that. It's very difficult to find the errors, and they need to do a bit of forensics to actually figure out exactly why they are suddenly being dumb. Because I don't know if you guys remember, but I think it was when we got the missiles, right? We got the new missiles effects. The first ones that they had actually tried were very pretty, like awesome. And when they tried to launch that on the test server, it looked fine. But as soon as you got it live, it basically started crashing and lagging the servers like crazy, because it's a completely different thing when it's 200 people, 500 people or more, right? When you test it with 100 dudes, it might actually behave, but it's when you start having it in the wild that it's horrible. This is also why I honestly think the main problem with this server node thing and the lag on the servers in general, and not just the KVN, might actually relate to the frigate bays on the battleships. Because one of the things that were prevalent in KVN that was not so much in the other fights was the battleship representation and how fast they were being fielded and off and shot off field.
The first week of space weather, then. Don't forget that.
Yeah, but that's the point.
Fucking
We've had lag issues for longer than that. It's just, I honestly believe that it's the okay. If you think about it, right? What happens when you shoot a battleship?
A single month in the history of EVE Online where we didn't have a fight with server issues.
Well, hold on, Soth. I know you've had your internet out for a few days, but Soth, just for an example of how bad the servers are right now, the other day we had a sacrilege fleet. That fleet only had 110 members. That
Tell
fleet
me about bad service, because I was there when PNDN happened.
Yes.
I
and we
took the tower while my battleship was in warp from one gate to the other. I literally took the tower, came back, and we weren't even halfway through.
yeah.
And you tell me about bad service.
No, but like seriously, 110 people, and we jump out of 1DQ. We take a Titan bridge, and we jump out of 1DQ, and the tie-dye went down to 41% for 6 minutes. Just by 100-person fleet, a singular 100-person fleet leaving system.
Can I point out that we moved north to Glass Tribute, and literally for basically the entirety of the first move up, we were 10% tie-dyeing every region that we went through.
Yeah.
Like we just
was
do
bad.
that on our scale at this point, especially with the number of people that you have in 1DQ at any one time, moving around 1DQ at any one time nowadays. The tie-dye is just gonna happen. I mean, Delve has been on a stronger node than other regions in the game, basically since we moved there and CCP started to realize, okay, this number of people in this denser space is going to require more server power. This is 4 years now.
Well, Dirk, with the point being is that when we had to move up for the glassing of tribute, right? We had over 1,000 pilots, doing things that caused that 10% tie-dye, and you would never see that 10% tie-dye unless it was more than 500 people. Now that 200 people are causing 10% tie-dye compared to last year when it would take 500 people to cause that's kind of...
No, if it's just the 200 people that are causing that tie-dye, because that system might be on a node with other systems that also have a 200-man fleet here and a 200-man fleet there. So all of a sudden you are at 600, 800 people. You don't know if that system you are in, you are the only one on that node.
And we should also point out one of McLeod's favorite topics of if we could only get like a 10% improvement on the servers, it would still be worth actually removing the bounty system because it's useless.
It's fucking useless.
Yes.
I mean, this is a fair point. Just rip out bounties at this point. While we're at it, can we just rip out excavators because they were a mistake? And
just
anything else that people think was a mistake that we should be ripping out while we're at
it? Where do we fucking begin?
Red dot,
fuck.
Red dot, red dot.
Yeah, red dot can go. Jesus Christ.
Titan supers, goons. You know what? I agree with all of that. Let's just tear them out. Fuck it.
I still think we should just remove the source of excavators. We don't have to remove them. Do the same that like we did with harvester drones, where when the source was suddenly removed, they just went to retarded prices, like crazy prices. They used to cost, I think I was selling them for 2.5 million, and now they are between 250 and 500 million each.
Okay, so real old fart in Twitch chat. I just have to shout this comment out, but I'm going to twist it a little bit. Real old fart thinks that we should rip it all out and just play Pooping Eve instead.
I think we should all play Raid Shadow Legends.
Oh, I see so many ads for that on YouTube nowadays.
Nowadays? The funny thing is, every YouTuber they go to, they play like 3 ads, 4 ads, 5 ads, and then they found out how shit the game is because they get yelled at by their community, and they basically no longer do any ad spots for them, and then they move on to the next YouTuber.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know how much they offer? Like on Twitter last year, some YouTuber got approached by Raid and literally exposed them for how much they offer, and they literally offer like $2,000 for every sponsored video that they do. I'm like, where are you getting all this money from? Like the microtransactions of your crappy game?
Well, yeah,
that's exactly it. That's exactly it. Like, that's just how mobile gaming works, you know? I mean...
Oh, there goes a good suggestion. Rip out the timers.
So mobile gaming, basically the large majority of mobile gaming, if you don't know out there, is basically just like pretty wrapped up essentially casinos. That's all it is. That's
And the
all
loot
it
boxes.
is.
Don't forget the loot boxes.
I mean, there's loot boxes, yeah, but like that's obviously like that's sort of fairly casino-y kind of thing. But like it's just prettified kind of versions of that with like different kind of wrapping, different kind of like different sort of visual features. And
I still think that if we got walking in stations back, right? If we get walking in stations back and we just get the latex suit and the lace suit, right? Then we can just microtransaction the shit out of it and make money that way.
Oh, okay.
That's right down your street, isn't it, Caleb?
Yeah. Caleb, there we go. This comments like this, Caleb, are exactly why when you're not here, we go, oh, he's locked up in a spare room somewhere.
Yes. Clamps
you're
in certain
threatening
places.
me with a good time? Is that what you're saying?
I'm not threatening you with a good time.
Okay, I agree with Victorious B, and I know this is a little bit shifted gears, but while we're on topic of complaining about things, Dust 514, like, please remake it, make it a PC game, make it free, do microtransaction seasons.
I'll give CCP a free tip, right? Like base. Like you started doing it, right? Like CCP started doing it, but then they pussied out on scope, right? And it's kind of it's interesting to say that because a lot of the times CCP goes like too far scope wise and just can't get shit done. But like this isn't sort of like this isn't ridiculous scope wise, when you consider the size of maps that these like new games, sort of come out with, right? But when you're thinking about like recreating or making sort of Dust 514 again, right? CCP had this idea of, we'll get people to sort of like fight on the actual ships. That's great. Aside from the fact that every single kind of the level design that you put there wasn't, it made no sense why those particular things and the way that the map was designed would be on a ship, right? It wasn't the exterior of a ship. It was the skybox of being on a ship, and it was the map of just a regular fucking like what would be 2010 era like FPS game. What CCP needs to do and what CCP needs to think about in terms of like redesigning and reimagining what a really cool sci-fi shooter would be is make the maps spherical to some degree, right? And like literally fight on the hulls of the ship where you can go around the map in like multiple kind of directions. Like so you're basically your feet are planted onto the hull of the ship using like maglev boots or something like that, right? Magnetized boots or something like that. And so you could literally walk around the ship like in multiple directions.
Well, the original, and someone please correct me if I'm wrong, because when Dust 514 happened, it was just after I had started EVE, but it was my understanding their original intention was to have Dust 514 on the planets of EVE. So like each match would take place on like 1DQ1 Planet 7, right? Yeah. And then the original intention was that people that played EVE would be able to go to that planet, and they would be able to lock up the planet, and they'd be able to shoot at the planet or like some kind of interaction with the planet there.
It was not just intended
mechanic.
It was not just intended. It was
they
how
did roll it out.
Yeah,
they rolled it out. But it was done because the only weapon system that you could use was like small weapons, and so you had this like you had these grandiose kind of like sort of trailer videos of like fucking Moros is sieging up and firing at a planet, and when you came to the reality of like, would somebody do that? No, they wouldn't, because what they would mean was you would be sieging on a planet, sort of firing down with a Moros with fucking small guns on it. Like, who in their right mind is going to do that? Nobody.
my direction is, of course, a little bit different than what you were doing, Mac, because I think if I wanted to give CCP a little bit of a clue, there's 2 EVE players that I know that could actually increase the marketable value of the title that you're building in London. One of them, I believe, is actually a goon, and it's this dude called Rain that is very good at making exotic and erotic art out of EVE assets. You should just hire him and give him
Sorry,
that job.
who?
Rain.
It's not Chocolate Rain. It's not what you think.
No, I know,
like,
but I know that's not Chocolate Rain. I'm just kind of trying to figure out if I've ever heard that name.
I think Rain 66 is the name he has in Goons.
Okay, Twitch chat, help us out here. Somebody find a.
And the second is
Yeah.
Naiden. I don't know who remembers Naiden, but he's also one of those dudes
Naiden's
that
pretty cool.
understands the fine
Naiden
line
was cool.
between erotic and porn. Yeah, Rain 6637. I think, yeah, that's him.
And so you're basically suggesting that CCP need to make whatever their new first-person shooter concept is into some sort of weird erotic, semi-erotic third-person shooter.
Hey, sex sells, man.
Make
Sex sells.
it gory and erotic enough to actually be 18 plus, right? Because
Gory
again,
and erotic. And here we go again with Caleb talking about his kinks.
go for the Grey Pound. Stop catering to 13-year-olds. Well, and they're going to play it anyways. So go for the Grey Pound. Get the people that are actual adults that want this stuff, because every game developer out there is like completely ignoring it or failing at actually utilizing it and putting it in their games. It belongs in their games. And come first quarter 21, I'm pretty sure that there's going to be some titles coming out with World of Darkness in it that's definitely going to be R-rated.
Now here's the fun thing. My advice to CCP, and this is going to be short and sweet. Sorry, Soth. Look at PlanetSide 2. Now do that, but Eve, because that's what we want.
Well, the issue there is.
There is a game coming out in World of Darkness, and the publisher is in the process of completely fucking it up.
Yeah, I literally saw a what was it, a fucking forgotten the fucking name. Angry Joe. I saw like an Angry Joe video of it, and it was fucking hilarious.
I mean, can I just say, publishers fucking up World of Darkness titles? Again, I see absolutely no precedent there whatsoever. I don't know where anybody would get the idea that publishers would fuck up a World of Darkness title, but you know, I'm sure it's completely unprecedented, unfounded. Yeah.
We asked you to put the fuck in. It's like someone said, like, we asked you to put the fuck into World of Darkness. We didn't mean there.
Now, I whatchamacallit, I don't think I've heard of this World of Darkness. Someone want to like catch me at the speed?
That's the Masquerade or Bloodlines 2.
Yeah, that's the one.
Published by Paradox. They fired the.
Yeah, they fired their heads.
And lead developer and
lead story
music. No, lead story, yeah.
Yeah, it was their lead. They fired their lead story developer. Yeah.
Two were basically face of the whole game because the lead story guy already worked on the first game, which also has a troubled history. And what people are thinking now is that Paradox just wants to shove in microtransactions into the game, and the two didn't want to have any of it.
Well, there was some kind of there was a little bit of skeptical kind of talk as to why they basically removed them, and there were people who were kind of like, oh, is it like a Me Too thing kind of thing? But nothing seems to have surfaced about that kind of thing. So it just seems as though they just decided thank you very much for your time and all your work. Fuck off.
I mean,
Right.
has a history of putting microtransactions into their games. So
Yeah.
it's sad that like the first Bloodlines was an amazing game, even though it was completely broken.
I mean, it was the thing. It was the thing that drove the whole fucking the whole fucking vampire craze, right? Vampire the Masquerade and what basically turned into World of Darkness was that whole the genesis of that entire kind of journey was the thing that spawned the entire vampire craze in the sort of 90s and noughties.
It is also one of the few video games that you can actually call a role-playing game.
Yeah.
And I think the problem was that CCP was trying to go for that, but then with those extremely overpowered graphics. And, well, I still blame Haldefanner from CCP for actually pushing that Carbon engine way too hard. Because, yes, he did an amazing job, and it would have been an amazing engine. But cooking our fucking graphics cards in EVE Online was just not a good move.
I have something for the end of the show, which is going to be quite funny.
Too bad EVE players didn't buy EVE instead of those Korean guys. Then we would have a decent profit to play balance. I mean,
he's not wrong though.
that's a take for sure. I'm not sure I agree with that take necessarily, but
I mean, I do agree that someone else should have bought it, but Goon Swarm or Test or PL getting together and getting all the money to buy CCP itself, it just doesn't seem like a good idea.
$400 million lying around, because I don't.
We could just tell Mittens to stop the drugs for a month, and we'll have enough money.
So we've had a wild bard ghost turn up.
Yeah. Hey, dude.
Hi. God, I hate moving the PC. I've just moved the PC from one room to the other because I've had a room redone this week. And Bluetooth doesn't work, Wi-Fi doesn't work, this doesn't work, that doesn't work.
Oh, that's rough.
It's like a user error to me.
Yeah. But the best one off was I forgot which cable went to each monitor. And they're both 19 volts. But one is 19 volts at 1.3 amps, the other is 19 volts at 1.9 amps.
So which monitor did you fry?
Neither, because thankfully LG has the sense to know that idiots like me exist and write it on the back.
Also wouldn't fry the monitor if it doesn't get enough power, would just not turn on.
It's the case of the other one getting too much that was the worry.
It can only draw as much from the power supply as it wants to draw.
Yes.
Power supply is not going to shove 19 amps down its throat. Just because
and here we have Sothrasil ruining a perfectly good joke.
I know, right?
Fucking no fun allowed. Sothrasil has finally made an appearance.
It's a culture thing. You know that, Dirk.
He was doing really well, and then, as we're coming up towards the end, no, finally had to drop the hammer. Fucking Sothrasil.
Hey, chat disagree with me.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Yeah, no, chat is right. It's the voltage, not the amperage that kills. But, did I also go robot there?
You went a little bit robot-y.
Okay, because my bars on Discord I saw just went red beyond belief.
Yeah, that's
your Wi-Fi.
That's all right. That's just Discord kind of doing its thing.
It's Discord switching you from server to server.
So since you've not been here to discuss the various topics, Bard Ghost, what do you think about the EVE news this week?
Cause just face palming. That said, it doesn't affect me as much as I thought it would, because turns out if I get all the structures I want to get up by October the 12th, I'm good. I just lose tether, repair, and refitting, which means absolutely nothing to me.
That's ship repair specifically, guys, for anybody listening. Like, that's not structure repair. Structures will work perfectly fine as long as you fuel them and all the rest of it. You get all of your reinforcement cycles. You just don't get tether, ship repair, and ship refitting.
So does anybody actually kind of like... Has anybody actually figured out exactly why CCP has like decided to do this?
What they want...
I mean, the core of the idea... isn't that bad, right?
God,
I mean,
damn
it's basically what I've been saying for a long time. If you want people to actually shoot citadels, then give them a reason to. Let something drop that's actually worth something, right? And these wars are kind of that. But the way they are going with it, you know, the way of the least effort.
So considering that, right, you know, you're shooting various different structures, right? CCP has kind of come out and said like, oh, you know, maybe they done fucked up in terms of the volume for the keep stars and the Satios, right?
Yes, so
right. So they might be moving that down.
There's Q stars and wormhole space that CCP overlooked, and the size in M3 of the cores are so freaking large that they can't fit through the freaking wormholes.
Let's be real, though. CCP fucked up with wormholes when they introduced structures anyway. They should never have allowed keep stars into, at the very least, low-class wormholes on the basis that it's just...
That the wormhole's too small. Like,
it's just a dumb idea to begin with.
Come on, guys.
I will say...
CCP overlooking something about wormholes.
Oh, I know.
Basically, been a thing since wormholes.
Oh, no. But the thing is, right? The thing is, you have to kind of think like, well, you know, if CCP wants to, like, let's for a minute say that CCP is actually competent at like designing, because I mean they've been doing it for fucking 15 years, right? They should be at least slightly competent, which means that, you know, the whole like, oh, we accidentally, you know, made the core volume of those two things 250,000, right, was a design decision. They just didn't realize, oh, people might actually realize, might notice and complain about it, and complain they did. And so like they had to be like, oh, we might have to sort of like, you know, fucking fight the fire on this one, right, and concede. But essentially, because you know, you think about like the amount of people, or the amount of CCPers, right, who have played EVE Online, like say, before the whole, you know, oh, it's fine for the you know, the player base to know who you are and who you fly with, stuff like that. Like before then, every single like, you know, CCP who did play the game, like for the most part, like almost admittedly played in wormholes, so they were all wormholers. They all know the mechanics that go on with it. They all know like how to get things in and out and stuff like that. So if CCP wants us to think that they're competent, then they knew about this. They knew that it would be an issue in low-class wormholes. They wanted to push it through to basically cock-block all of the people who like, you know, having those big structures in C2 wormholes to basically say, check how fucking big my dick is, etc., etc.
McLeod.
And then they had to roll it back.
You are making one big mistake there.
Oh, of course I am. I'm assuming a lot of shit.
You are assuming that...
Of course I am. That's the reason.
Those people who have been living in wormhole space and know their shit about wormhole space actually talk to the higher ups who make the decisions.
There is that.
Yeah, that could be an issue inside of a large development studio. But yes, I am being generous, Sikander.
It's my understanding that what CCP wants to stop is obviously the Citadel spam. And then not only do they want to stop Citadel spam, they want to encourage the valuableness of killing other alliances structures, so that during something like the glassing attribute, for example, right? And I will say, as a skirmish commander from that glassing attribute, we got hella bored. Do you know, grinding through those Athenors and stuff with the Ferox fleets like constantly, shit got boring real quick. And not only did it get boring, it became a chore. And so this is a way for that to not become a chore and for it to become something that makes us money.
So how many of you, like when you're like taking down a citadel, how many of you have an extra 500 cubic meters of space in your cargo hold? Or an extra 50,000 in whichever ship you're flying?
Nobody does.
Nobody. So
Absolutely,
nobody in the fleet is going to scoop these cores, right? So it's not going to be like, yeah, it's not going to be one of those things where like, oh, I was able to sort of ninja the core, go me, etc. I'm going to get like, up to 800,000.
No, Matt.
800
they're for the
million
blocks.
for it. So it's
They're the
blocks,
blocks,
right?
It's for the blocks.
So how much of that money? How much of that money comes down to you in a form like when you kill structures these days, it does drop stuff. It drops like the fittings and stuff like that come with it, right?
And if you salvage it, you can get.
And if you salvage it, you get certain things, right? How much of that gets funded back to you that and that you can feel it? None. How much of how much of the value in ISK of these cores, in an alliance that takes down a structure, is going to refund that value back to the players who were on that op? None.
I mean, the other thing about this,
so
right, is
how is this going to affect people, legitimately like enjoying going around and blowing up citadels, like pre this and post this? None.
No. I will say that it's not going to be block level sort of benefits, but there are smaller organizations that I know that do some structure killing in high cross low sec. Not War Deck Corps, just people genuinely looking for PvP going against War Deck Corps and other groups that will happily spread the loot from a fight out and have done.
Yeah, but
yeah.
Thing is, they are few and far between.
But they spread the loot out in terms of like, here, this is worth this amount of ISK, so we can kind of cut it this way or that way, or every so often sometimes you'll get like, the people who are trustworthy that will go and actually sell it and then, take note of who was in the fleet. But like, if you like that stops when you get past a fleet of like say 30 or 40 people, like, because you're not going to be splitting the value of these things 30 or 40 ways. That's far too much fucking admin for anyone to do. It's just fucking awkward and annoying.
Can I address something quick before it dissipates?
Yeah, go for it, dude.
Goonie Dupont mentions God, I've lost his comment already. Something about, NPC bounty on player-owned citadels. You know what? It does make me wonder if they have talked about removing bounty, right, and replacing it. And they've explained the law reason behind cores is basically the fluid router.
Yeah.
Maybe they start doing that on ships. Not that you've got to put one in, just that NPC ships start dropping these instead of.
Well, see, I could see that. I could see that, Bar Ghost, if they'd actually designed this in a way for it to be scalable. But they haven't. They've specifically created... Oh, dear God, I've just looked at this table and noticed that there's a random capitalization. And
so,
every time I see things like that, I cannot skip over it, and I hate it. But,
yeah.
Okay, moving past that. They've specifically designated cores for every type of structure at different M3 values and different ISK values. And you'll be buying these as created from NPCs. You're not going to be building them so you can't mess around with the ISK value on it that way. You can't manipulate it. But every single structure has its own specific core. Not, okay, so to power an Astrahus, you have to have 5 5 cores, each of which will cost 100 million to buy and have a volume of 100 M3, making 500 M3 in your Astrahus and 500 million ISK, or in your Athamor, say 700 M3 and 700 million ISK. They've not scaled it that way. They've gone with specific items. So then you're going to end up with, if they try and replace NPC bounties with things that with blue loot, this is effectively what it is. It's blue loot.
Yeah,
then
a version of it.
You're going to have to create specific cores for specific classes of ship, and it's just going to add and add and add to the loot tables and the questions of where you can sell it.
But that's okay, because you can just add like a line to a fucking loot table and then just add the asset. Like, that's fine. Like,
but it's one of those things. So are we then going to see? Because they're not done with upwell structures, according to at least old.
They still want the small structures, right?
And there's a question about whether or not they'll go under the flex thing, Bard Ghost. But if they do more medium or higher upwell structures, they're going to then be introducing more cores of specific natures, and it's just
perpetuating more and more and more.
Why are you just adding more other bullshit? Why are you not just making it nice and scalable and neat and say, okay, so a keep star requires this many cores to have this service online?
Exactly, and that's why I suggested that there should be 4 types for the functions, and it should be the same type in all of them. So regardless of size, right? It's just scale it up. So effectively, in a keep star, you would have the equivalent of 5 freighter full of those cores. So you also have a strain when you're actually putting them down. And when they explode, there's actual loot for everyone on the field. They should be like 50 cubic meters in size, and you just need more of them for a keep star.
Mm-hmm. And that does then allow people to spread out that looting across the fleets that are bashing them. It enables,
it does. It allows people to, it allows more kind of distribution of loot, in that kind of sense.
Bring
which
a
is
bomber and steal some shit from this keep star. You've been there waiting for keep star to die. You get in there with your bomber. If you make it out, you've made some money, and all you've had to do is watch it for a while.
The thing is, Dirk, my issue is why bring in a new fucking item for this? There's already items in the game that can be utilized as this. They can be dropped, just be added as a drop table. Why make these new things? Why make these new things? Well, no, not use carbon, of course not, fucking Bard. How much used carbon does someone have to actually does it have to drop to be meaningful?
Let's just
fucking billions.
In these things. Fuck it, we're gonna power these keep stars with Plex. And
I wouldn't go. I didn't want to go that. I didn't want to go that route, dude. But
you mean let's already stop pretending here. And
but
just
I mean, it sounds completely ridiculous. But Greedy Point in chat says titanium, but there's a lot of people who are well, where there's an issue with the sort of scarcity of titanium in certain places, but you can have things, you can have a shit ton of say scrap metal drop, and you can refine that into sort of a whole bunch of minerals. That's just an idea going out there, basically using existing stuff, right? And I get the situation, and I get the sort of the reasoning behind. Oh well, we can control the price of a new item, that can only be bought and sold via NPC kind of buy and sell orders, by changing that price. But there's a lot of different fucking things in EVE that are so ubiquitous in EVE that you can't run a monopoly on it in that kind of form. But you just decide, fuck it, let's not use that, let's make something brand new. It makes me think that that's not the reason. It makes me think
male dancers is the best thing. We should be doing this. Exotic male dancers in power and keep stars. Just put them in hamster wheels.
No, even
that actually works. But seriously, when Dirk says this is fundamentally powered by Plex, It kind of is when it's just ISK. When the only thing you need is ISK to actually get these, that is almost the same as powering them with Plex, because there's no labor required, really, to generate these things. So you could just Plex up, buy them, and then poof, install, you're done. There's nothing that's required of you except to Plex up.
That's exactly what I meant.
So at the end of the day, like, I look at this and I go, why is CCP trying to fix this issue the way that they're doing it right now? And the only two things that I could have thought of was they wanted to be able to artificially limit the total number of Citadel structures available to be put down by limiting the amount of these new items that they concede, or they wanted to limit the type of structures that they wanted to see in certain bits of, like, certain areas of space. For example, C2 space. They just came out and said that they're not actually that they're reducing the size, so you can put certain things in C2s and that kind of stuff. So it's not the second one. So I can only assume that it is the first one, because there are easier ways. There's easier ways and better ways of being able to make Citadels drop things that make it worthwhile, not just for the Alliance, but for, like, the line members who are there doing the thing to get, like, money out of that scenario.
So this is very true.
Here's the thing, right? Plex sounds great. I mean, if I remember correctly, the lore behind Plex is it's quantum entangled helium-4, right? Which is the same stuff as used in the fluid routers.
For helium, but yes.
Yeah.
For helium, yes.
I guess.
Which would logically work, because the lore of the cores as it is that they are basically fluid router stations, right? So logically, Plex would work. I mean, you are cutting out the bullshit of Plex to ISK to cores. Yes, you're going to have some backlash, but at the same time, shiny. It's something shiny dropping. But the big issue why they won't do it, Plex fault.
Yeah,
I mean, of course.
Well,
we should really also talk about who is actually going to benefit from this and who is going to be hurt, right? Because I feel like this is very, very strange, because as far as I can tell, there's 3 groups that are going to hurt from this at different degrees. It's going to hurt the goons a little bit, because they really need to invest a lot of money to actually build out their entire infrastructure with these things. So it's a little bit like, it feels like a goon. It feels like a goon's tax.
It's also interesting. It's also interesting.
Max, I need to get the other two first.
Okay.
So it's a bit of a goon tax, right? On ISK and logistics. The second group that I think is going to be hurt are going to be the groups in Pappy that are kind of poor, like the actual poor Pappies. So someone like Brave, right? And the last is high-sec mom and pop shops. They're going to be rumple-stomped completely. Anyone that has a small infrastructure at all with less than 50 dudes are going to be rolled over by the high-sec people that are going to chase these things. So that's the 3 groups. The ones that are going to benefit are the ones that are capable of massively printing ISK, because it's really only ISK that's required. So I think you can open your MER and see who's actually going to be able to pay for this.
I mean, to be fair, we did there was some quick napkin math that was done when this was announced, right? Within Goonswarm, that is, specifically within Goonswarm. Quick napkin math, just to cover our keep stars, we're looking at somewhere in the region of 1.8 trillion ISK.
It's 2 trillion now. There's more keep stars than when you did the napkin math.
Well, not more keep stars, but this is the thing, like, we're in the middle of a defensive war right now, okay? In the last month, Pappy have managed to grind through, 4 keep stars in Fountain? 5?
Keep stars in
Fountain. I would like to...
We've got till January to call them, and even then, if we don't call them, all we lose is tethering, ship repair, and ship refitting. Places that are our backup keep stars don't need to be cored immediately. Things like some of the extraneous keep stars in 1DQ, of which we've got 5 in 1DQ now, by the way, guys. You know, not that we're is sitting here making a hard nut to crack or anything. But
just to be clear, Dirk, 4 on the same grid.
Yeah,
and just to also be clear, CCP is giving till like January 12th to do all this. So we have enough time to end this war before we got to shove all the cores in.
And we don't even know how many Keep Stars we'll have left by then. We don't know how many Fortizars, how many Athenors. We don't know.
Dirk, I'm going to let you in on a secret.
Stop.
I'm going to let you in on a secret, Dirk. It's all of them.
No, because we don't have any structures because we're in NPC space.
It's a small thing to chat with the whole assuming the win condition. It's not really relevant. What's really relevant is the Operation Hydra thing that's running right now. That every time a Keep Star was lost recently in Fountain, 2 went up in Delve. So it's not like there's not enough Keep Stars around. There's actually way too many, and they will not be handicapped January 12th, except for the services mentioned in the blog, right? So they're still up.
Caleb, did you just steal my nickname for it?
Of course I did, because I need to spin that narrative. It's a great name. Operation Hydra. You kill 1, we put 2 down.
I mean, somebody's just said in Twitch chat that we shouldn't call them Pappy because it was Panda Fam in Fountain. I'm sorry, does Pappy not mean Panda Fam Alliance, please ignore?
It does mean Panda Fam Alliance, please ignore, and the inaccuracy in what was said there was the fact that that particular person doesn't realize that Test did jump clone to to that kind of that area in order to run fleets to blow up. Yeah, they did. They did jump clone a couple of times. They did jump clone a couple of times. Yeah, to go and shoot structures, and that's it.
The other 3 times that they went to go shoot structure in Fountain, they burned their fleet from Esoteria through Stain through Delve to come through ZXB into Fountain. So they were in that theater to do things. So it is Pappy because Tess did show up, which is kind of fucking a weird thing to say. Only a couple of times, obviously, but for that particular reason, it's called Pappy. Because if it wasn't Pappy and Tess hadn't actually shown up that couple of times, then it would have literally just been Panda Fam, because that's exactly who were there.
So anyway, so when I first
the other thing. Sorry, the one other thing that I wanted to say that I'll let Caleb kind of finish his thing on was I also find this kind of funny how this is coming out, and consider where you can buy and sell these things. The majority, a nice collection of places that you can find these places to sort of buy these quantum cores is Outer Ring. And I find it kind of oddly humorous that we finally lost Fountain, a nice, easy place to be able to jump to and from Outer Ring to go and pick these up, and suddenly this drops. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, but
can't
I mean, consider the history of Fountain. Okay.
I mean, yeah,
Fountain,
it is
Fountain
difficult.
is not a region you hold.
No, that is true. You don't really hold Fountain when it does get invaded. It's notoriously difficult. Mm-hmm. But even so, I'm not saying that there's any kind of any sort of mystic reason for it, but because these things sort of happen. Right. Sometimes things just happen.
I'm just going to point out there. I'm pretty sure that Aerith himself could pay for all the cores we need.
For sure. For sure.
So, yeah, it's not going to wipe us off the map.
The idea that anything could be designed to wipe us off the map has been disproven time and again because we just adapt better. I'm sorry if you don't, And this isn't just goons, by the way. Any larger organization is always going to adapt better because we have more brains to throw at the problem and more hands to actually implement the solution we come up with.
And we're willing to adapt as well. And it might not be pretty. It may not be the most perfect adaptation in the world. We fail upwards. That's the mantra. We fail upwards.
We fine-tune things like way later than we should have done. I mean... Just take the bit, what was it, 4, 5, 6 weeks ago, when we didn't find an NPC, not an NPC, a spy NC dot alt corp until they started putting structures down. And then suddenly our entire alt corp policy shifted because we finally figured it out. We should have done it years ago, but we didn't, and we fucked that up a little bit, but here we are, we fixed it.
Yeah.
We just keep trying to figure things out and fucking it up and then putting in place new plans.
The more open
can't do this,
the more open to adapting you are, the more open to not having some kind of some aspect of your organization or aspect of your gameplay that is sacred because you can't touch that because that defines you in some way, shape or form. The more that isn't a thing and you're open to adapting, the faster you can adapt, right? And the faster changes to the game doesn't affect you.
Especially when
I see that all the time with
right. This is a poll tax. It's a once.
It is. It's
a
complete
lifetime only. It doesn't add any strain to the system at all, except for the people that are not capable of organizing.
So one of the crazy things. So one of the crazy things. And a lot of people kind of wondered, because I went back into all of the different dev blogs in terms of the structure kind of dev blogs and Citadel dev blogs, and kind of had a relook at all of those sorts of things. Specifically the ones right at the start when they were kind of coming out with Citadels. And one of the interesting things is that they also talk about in one of those dev blogs is as a capture mechanic. And it's funny how I can just literally go back and read things that CCP have said in dev blogs and have, literally put out there into the public, about the fact that they've thought about these sorts of things, but obviously didn't implement certain aspects of it. But how about instead of this fucking quantum core bullshit, how about you fucking Entosis something that is. No. I mean, it's not. I know when people say Entosis, Dirk, you literally have some fucking Vietnam kind of flashback.
No,
and go,
I just had shit. Entosis and drifters are the two words.
Exactly. But
really?
Can you imagine sort of in that 24-hour period of someone putting down a structure, or if it goes past that 24-hour period and they don't put something in it. Or, for example, I don't know, if basically instead of this fucking quantum core bullshit, how about the advantage of, not taking care of your onlining structures from structure spam is someone can come along from a hostile alliance and Entosis your stuff for that to be theirs and they can fucking scoop it and take it away.
Yeah, but I mean, I just want to react to Caleb's comment of this being a poll tax. Caleb, this isn't a poll tax. This is a retroactive security deposit. That's it. You're renting the space now, and you've got to put in a security deposit, and you only get it back if you stop renting that space, or somebody else comes and fucking evicts you. And you have to carry it the same way that businesses carry cash, right? In one of those small zip bags, exactly. in the middle of the night. you're just packing up this core into a box and trying to get it out as fast as you can before the bailiffs come. That's it.
It's fucking get it in, put everything in, chuck it into the fucking van, go.
I don't care if it's packed neatly, just go.
Don't give a shit about the box. Just throw it into the van now. Exactly. I think we're done.
The
Are we
thing
done?
that really
I'm not
annoys
sure.
me is that every single person that is involved in anything with structure says this is not really going to change anything. So it feels as if either CCP does not
for the better.
CCP does not seem to actually believe when people that are doing these things that are spamming, that are using this for things that might not necessarily be its purpose, says, well, yes, it's going to slow it down a little bit, but it's fundamentally not going to do anything. We're still going to be able to do the majority of things that we're doing now, just maybe at a third of the power. But that's still not a solution. Then
the price of putting a citadel up is increased, but the people who can do that, like who can absorb that and carry on as if it's like no change, fucking large groups. The people who can't do that, small groups.
And that's what I've been saying, right? I usually never use the little guy thing, but this thing definitely hurts the little guy. And this is where I really feel like using one of the quotes from the Mittani, the pulling the ladder up behind you. This is exactly the type of raising the barrier of entry where it has pretty much no effect on the big boys, and this is exactly what the banks did with the requirements to actually get into banking. Pull the ladder up, and then they completely gobbled up everything. So now there's only massively big banks in the business. No small banks can survive anymore in real life finance. So this is similar, very similar.
It's like CCP. It's like CCP hasn't heard or doesn't even know that there's a thing out there in EVE terminology called Mal'Canis's law. It's like,
well, I
think Rendis tried to explain this in the 1500 thread on more than one occasion.
Yeah, I can actually, small leaks, minor leaks. Rendis is writing a thing about this, apparently.
Oh, okay.
Apparently
I made a thing about this.
Apparently, when I last saw him mention this, he was 5 pages in, and he was only just starting to get to the point. So I'm really looking forward to this from Horrendous. This should be just some top-notch writing from Horrendous.
There's probably going to be some doozies in it as well.
Before we move to our one last thing, I have a really quick question, and this goes out to Twitch chat as well. Anybody who can answer this. Can anybody tell me if there is a place to buy and sell these cores on the Amar side of, we'll throw it out to Mifune, the Ninjara Gate?
Ninjara Gate.
Someone got the article, I'll check it out.
I've got the article up. I can drop you a link in
just drop it in
Discord. But yeah, there's 5 places you can buy these things, 5 places you can sell them. I want to know if you can both buy and or sell on the Amar side of that divide.
No, it's 5 groups, right? It's all their stations, right? So it's quite a lot more than just 5.
I think a lot of it is low. I think a lot of the
are only in one region. Like outer ring excavations, for example, you only find an outer ring.
Yeah. But there's some other places. There's some other kind of corporations that do it, but I don't know the composition of where those particular things are.
It says that the Omar Trade Registry will purchase them, so I assume that'll be on the Omar side of that. But is there?
If so, then yes, because the first one I went for was Ducia Foundry, which is got stations in them.
So yeah,
you can get both sides of the arch.
I don't know about me. I don't know about others, but Bard went a little bit roboty for me.
Yeah, he said we will be able to get them on both sides of Niaja. So
okay, cool.
Okay, that's interesting. That would have been. It would have been really curious to see
if it wasn't
them not available on one side or the other. And I wouldn't necessarily have even minded which side, but would have been interesting.
Is every single station that those corporations have a corp office in is every single one of those in low sec or null sec?
Some are high sec as well.
Okay, there are some in high sec. Okay, cool, that's good.
I'm just linking them in that. Just bringing up faction, bringing up the stations page.
So IFA and Co has 2 stations. All of 2 stations.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah.
Well, and both in 0.9 in Metropolis. Okay, that's okay. So that covers Minmatar. The Kemal
Propel has
Tech are all over the place.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have
Kemal Tech has
Tashmur.com, so that's pretty close for us goons.
Yeah, but Kemal Tech also has stations in Outer Ring.
Which one did only have 2 stations?
IFA.
We need to designate a SIG to just permacamp those.
Yeah, but then everyone go elsewhere because they're spread about far and wide enough.
Yeah, it's going to be impossible to hell camp all of these, unfortunately.
Yeah, but you only need those 2, right? The one with only 2, those cores can then be completely monopolized.
Well, no, because it says in the article, all cores will be available to purchase from the stations owned by these corporations. So, yeah, and I think this is another thing that goes back to the game design the game design question we had earlier. That, like, where are these guys gonna?
I'm gonna
like. We haven't had any bits where we could actually see some groups try and fight over these things. You're just going to be able to get them from wherever. So,
but the thing that
we do have to mention one thing that's very important. Very important to mention, and will have some relevance in an upcoming Push to Talk extra show. These things are potentially perfect for RMT. This is basically a thing with very high value that can be instantly sold back to NPCs for ISK with nothing in between, right?
And I imagine
100%.
Yeah,
dropped at 100% rate if you unanchor. So
I imagine they drop 100% regardless, Caleb.
Design,
Caleb, I imagine they drop 100%. Like I imagine they drop 100% even if you kill a ship that has one in.
No. If you drop it drops as a 50-50 chance of surviving from a ship. It's
Really?
only guaranteed.
Has that been confirmed?
That's not been confirmed, but what we're assuming is that they ensured that if you kill a Citadel, it's 100%. But we believe it's a 50-50 shot.
Assumption, given the way that they messed around with the loot fairy thing last time, when they were doing the 100% or 0% ship loot drops. So
and I will say it's counter to some of what I've heard, where there is consideration apparent to make it 100%.
There's a consideration globally when it comes to drop rates for certain items. So there is a consideration there is a way for CCP to basically say this item drops 100% or this item drops none of the time. Like, you see it in certain things that people like that get ganked kind of thing. Like these things never drop. I imagine that these things are always going to drop. I mean, they have said, that they're going to drop 100% of the time. I think we all assume that is, from a structure explosion. They didn't say, they haven't actually said specifically, from a ship. But, we know that they have the capability of being able to have this item drop wherever it drops at a particular rate. So,
I mean, here's the thing, right? If they do 100% drops from ship, you're also going to end up with incentivizing normal PvP. And admittedly, incentivizing a hell of a lot of ganking on the only way from Jita to Oman out.
Yeah, for sure. And, as Caleb said, the people who love RMT or, people who love to partake in RMT, are always looking for those items that, have high value that can drop, the majority of times. And if it does happen to be, that these things drop 100% of the time from ships, that's literally a perfect item for them, which is ridiculous.
Because
anyway,
I don't think they are registering who is actually installing these. So just installing them is also an easy way to exchange services and goods, right?
Not quite.
I don't know, but we're going down a bit of a rabbit hole here. Anyway, we need to sort of wrap up a little bit. So we need to go into, our final things. So shall we go top down or bottom up? I think we should go bottom up. Sloth? do you have anything that any final thing that you want to, shout about at all?
I have so many things I want to shout about. But
Pick one, man. Pick one. Pick one. Pick one.
Roll a die.
I had a 2-week break from literally everything because I didn't have internet. And then
no, we didn't know that at all.
And then
you haven't said anything about that.
Then someone told me about these fucking cores, and let's just say, I always thought it's pretty hard to read an article while shaking your head vigorously, but I somehow managed to do that this time.
It was a blur, but I got through it. Foon? Eddie, what's your sort of one last thing?
Let's see. Final little things. Next week on Friday, me and Caleb are sitting down with the very first Push to Talk Extra, and I encourage everybody to come on. And we're going to be.
Are we really shilling for this?
Yeah, and we are going to pretty much be talking about the seriousness of botting in EVE Online and botting in general in games, and the constant battle between game devs and cheaters, and what can be done about it, what we can theorize, tinfoil hat, all that. It's going to be very, I wouldn't say higher kind of show, but like a very educated show where we have put in the research.
Caleb's educated? What?
Yes, Caleb's actually very educated. I've seen some of his research, and it's like 10 times better than some of mine. But we are going to be taking a look at botting. And no, for the people in the chat that are already going to ask, we are not politically motivating this towards alliances and who bots and who doesn't bot. It's just a general all-together problem that everybody in the game has to come together to solve the problem and stop placing blame on other alliances for botting or cheating or whatever. Because
I'm just going to point you to team security. Thanks.
You know the thing is, like, and I'm not even talking. Well, I'm not even talking. Like when I say this, I'm not even talking about Eve. Like this is something that I kind of noticed on a completely different game, completely different sort of, completely different type of game. But botting, does go hand in hand with things as crazy and as serious as money laundering.
Yes, and that's one of the topics. That's one of the topics I actually have in my research. I don't want to expand too much on this because I know we need to close. Also, I don't want to expose everything that I'm going to be talking about next week. But there are tons and tons of people out there that make cheating programs, and they will literally copyright the cheating program and make a literal business out of it so that game developers can't touch them without going through massive legal crap. There are things out there where they can't be touched by the game devs. They can't be touched by other cheat developers because it's a competitive market out there. You have one cheat dev hacking the other cheat dev to get his source code just so that he can steal it and make his cheat better.
That just sounds completely insane, to be honest.
That's one of the things that I expand on, and I hate to say it, but I have insider knowledge about this because for the past...
Let's not go ahead and start that here. Well, let's leave that for Push to Talk Extra.
All right.
Leave that for Push to Talk Extra, but I have experienced it.
Yeah. So, McLeod, one last thing.
My one last thing is coming at the end of this, in actual fact, and it will be fucking hilarious. Hopefully you'll enjoy it. Hopefully you'll understand the kind of like hopefully you'll understand the inside joke about it, kind of thing as well. But Dirk, your one last thing.
Enough. I'm just going to reiterate my comments earlier. Like I'm concerned that they're not considering the forward mobility of this quantum core thing. definitely concerned about the fact that, this is kind of pulling the ladder up on, as Caleb referred to them, mom and pop shops, which are, going to get absolutely crushed in high sec by the war deckers if they bother to install these cores at all. And I'm also a little bit concerned that the impact of not having a core on a pre-existing structure is not significant enough to make people think, hey, I definitely want to either consolidate these things down or core everything, because ultimately turning off a couple of services in these structures is negligible. It's really just a questionable situation.
But
there we are.
Get me screwed by CCP right now.
Those are my.
They're not going to be watching this. It's fine. Like they ain't watching this.
I want to know.
They don't watch this.
This is comments in chat.
I'm not saying that this is every change will crush the little guy, but no, realistically, I don't think this change crushes anyone apart from the people who can't afford to defend their structures and
that need the features.
But Caleb, one last thing.
Well, the last thing that I would say is that I'm having some major flashbacks, because I remember when
PTSD song?
we had when we had the last war, the one that is at least by some called World War B1. I'm pretty sure that there was issues with this whole dirty money thing as well. So even though I'm going to try and cover this from an unbiased perspective Friday, the upcoming week, with Mifune and whoever actually joins us to talk about these things, it does feel a little bit like something might actually be repeating itself.
But your final thing?
I honestly... Okay, so I had a pretty bad reaction to cores. I still don't like them, don't get me wrong, but they could be worked into something decent. But you asked me about the announcements this week from CC joined, right? And I think cores isn't the worst one.
Oh no, you're not going on this one.
I'm concerned for the browser.
I don't. I'm not. I think there's ample kind of ways to be able to basically prevent code injection in that regard. Like you're not
I mean, yes,
not pushing the game to be
McLeod.
Like
but we are talking about CCP.
We may be talking about CCP. We may not be talking. Sorry?
Can I answer chat just for 2 seconds? Because there is actually something that they can do. If you wanted to help the little guy or the guys that want to own smaller structures, give them utility. If they actually have value and operating them has value, that means that you basically make the bigger guys, you force them to outsource some of their workload. This is why I keep talking about, if they bring back limited slots in industry, mom and pop shops will start being what services, things that are not worth it in the bigger groups.
Okay. That's cool. That's a good one. But yeah, with regards to sort of like even the client, like I don't think that they're making like Eve client that can be downloaded into a client and be run, in memory in that regard. I think it's more just control. Like I think it's mainly going to be like a Stadia style thing where it's control only. Like sort of like your control, your keyboard and mouse movements and stuff like that, and it's being moved around there.
Because that would mean they're running it on servers at their end.
I mean,
and that's going to be a hell of a lot of servers that they're running it on at their end, right?
I don't know, dude. There's a bunch of different things. A bunch of different people do the same sort of thing, and I'm not just talking about Stadia. Like Nvidia do the GeForce Now stuff, but like other companies do other things.
For that,
so
I've seen the servers for that, but like it's an experiment.
McLeod,
that's why it's low level.
McLeod, so what you're saying is that CCP saw another thing that literally every other games developer is doing right now, and thought, hey, how about we do that as well, just in a very half-assed way.
No,
that
what
doesn't
they
sound like CCP at all.
Yeah, I know you're being a little bit sarcastic there too. But it does ring true with this idea that, like, you know, essentially, you know, Hilmar wants to sort of create this, like, not, you know, products that people can play independently of each other, but this environment of, like, you are, you know, injecting yourself into this Eve universe. I'm not talking about like you know, the literal Eve universe like New Eden, but like this sort of like environment of Eve products that you can kind of pick and choose and kind of flow between one and the other, and which doesn't have physical borders between them, like, you know, going from like, you know, Valkyrie to Eve, like, you know, to real Eve kind of thing, to like, I don't know, Gunjack or something of that regard, or, you know, to maybe what could potentially be like, you know, DOS 514 in at some point in time, right? That it rings true to sort of a step towards that eventuality.
I'm gonna laugh if they try and do an FPS.
I mean, so will I.
I am going to laugh so hard.
Well, I wouldn't. I'm not going to say I would laugh at it, but like, I would laugh if they tried to do an FPS and build an FPS engine in, you know, for it, because that's just a ridiculously dumb idea.
I just mean generally doing an FPS in a browser client in any way, shape, or form.
Oh, in a browser. Well.
Because doing it in a browser-like client like Stadia, we've already seen from Stadia how bad
bad Stadia can actually do it. But like other companies do it a little bit easier and a little bit better. But yeah, I can understand that, like, latency issues, obviously, with FPSs. Yeah, that's an issue.
It's Alliance of Valiant Arms or something like that, AVA or something. It was a game from like 2008. It was a really simple FPS game released on Steam, and they also had a browser thing. And when you think of certain games like World of Tanks started out as a browser thing. And you would download like a 500 megabyte client, and all of your connections, like the game lobby, was on Chrome, on your like browser. And then when the match was ready, it would launch the 500 megabyte client, and everything would be run through your browser while your browser's open in the background. Like, games have made it, like, they've made it work before. It's going to be a question of whether or not it's going to be worth it for something like Eve.
That's not that gives me in-browser client, though. That's the browser
in-browser lobby.
Yeah.
Lobby.
With
because it gives me like PTSD flashbacks to like Battlefield 3.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, guys,
connect to
why does that give you flash? Like, Battlefield 3 was the last good one.
I kind of know, but like, I hated the Origin. Yeah, I really hated the Origin kind of, like, you know, sort of like them pulling things out of it into Origin. It was just fucking like, ugh. I just didn't like it at all. But thank you guys for being a part of Push to Talk today. We are going to end on something fun, hopefully, that you guys hopefully like.
Is it the wing thing?
No. It's something that you guys haven't seen. It's something you guys haven't seen. I haven't shown you guys this. I haven't uploaded it or given anybody sneak peeks to it. It's something I made today, like this afternoon. So hopefully you guys enjoy it. But you know, other than that,
I got work in an hour.
Okay. So you know, that's it for us, guys. Check this out, and see you guys next week. And be sure to check out Meta Show, which is coming up in, I think, in like a couple of hours, right?
An hour and a bit. Should be.
Hour and a bit.
2100
hour
local.
and 10 minutes.
Yeah, hour and 10 minutes.
We went quite long today.
Yeah, definitely. So in an hour and 10 minutes, you know, check out Meta Show. In the meantime, check this out.
That's it? What the fuck? Son of a bitch. You done fucked it up.
For the permit. I don't care if you buy a permit. Do you know how little I actually care if you have a permit?
Complaining about the fact that he received no support from that. I think Boat has some.
Yes, I do. Oh, I got some leaks for you.
It's like simple shit like that. Simple shit like that. If he can't answer that,
I need to break in because I need more original every week. That's a goal.
Do you really actually get paid for that? Because you deserve money for that last one. That one was a fucking amazing setup.